It's been a busy day in the transfer portal. A little Sunday fun day, if you will. Colorado and Miami, they're the big winners so far, at least in terms of commitments. But I got On3 portal expert Pete Nakos in this video to hit on some of the most important recruitments that are still going on. But first, guys, hit subscribe. We're almost to 50K. We need your help to get there. All right, let's bring on 3's Pete Nakos, and we'll start with Dylan Edwards. He just came off the board moments ago to Kansas State. Now, what's the impact of that, and why do you think he ended up at KSU?
Dylan Edwards' father played at Kansas State. Dylan Edwards was a Kansas State commit for a little bit in his high school recruitment. I view this as a no-brainer, right? He goes in the transfer portal. He's very familiar with the coaching staff and obviously Manhattan, Kansas, and he gets on campus this weekend. And he's been best friends with Avery Johnson for so long, and now he's gonna be in the backfield with Avery, and it just makes a lot of sense. In terms of the impact, though, I mean, Josh, not telling you anything you don't know here, but we're gonna go to a 12-team playoff. The Big 12 is gonna get a little bit bigger, but I think that Kansas State has a legitimate shot to compete for a Big 12 title now, and maybe even do some more stuff. And it's really important to look at too. I mean, Edwards and Johnson, I mean, those guys are young guys. Like, they're going to have at least 2 more seasons before they're draft eligible.
I know. Really exciting times out there in Manhattan, Kansas. I want to talk a little Cormani McClain because it has been eerily quiet on the Cormani McClain front. Now, is it just quiet, or am I missing something? There's a lot going on behind the scenes. Pete, what's going on with Cormani McClain?
It has been quiet. I have made some efforts to try to track down if he's had any visits, and he did not go anywhere this weekend, from my understanding, unless it's been really kept on the DL. But I know USC came up at the beginning. I know USC is kind of out on Cormani McClain now. Every day seems to be something new with like UCF and USF. One day they're in, one day they're out, one day they don't think they can get him. So I think those are just going to be 2 schools you have to keep an eye on through this whole thing. And then On3 Steve Wiltfong found out that maybe Utah was going to be maybe a place to keep an eye on. If you remember, Cormani McClain actually had BYU in his top 5. So I think he kind of likes that part of the country, from my understanding. But Utah doesn't have an open scholarship right now. Like, I just don't. I think that Cormani McClain is an extremely talented defensive back with so much upside. I just don't think he has found a place just yet where he feels like he can go.
And so far, none of the big dogs are calling. We're not hearing from Florida. We're not hearing from Miami, Auburn, Texas. Nobody like that.
I have not heard any of that. No.
Really interesting. So is there a timetable right now for Cormani McClain to make a decision?
I think we have to officially throw out timetables, right? Like, you look at it, I know a lot of athletes like to take visits right after they go in the portal and make a decision. You want to look big picture here, though, right? Like, no athlete has to make a commitment inside this 15-day window in the spring, and beyond that, as long as they're enrolled in fall classes, I don't really think there's like a limit decision maker, unless most athletes want to get on campus for the summer, but I mean, you could drag it out a little bit. So This is going to be one to watch. I kind of get the feeling that we're not going to get like an announcement on like this week. That's just my vibe at the moment. Right. Obviously, things change. But I have a feeling that this is going to be something we're going to be watching for a little bit.
All right. It only takes one. We'll see what happens there. Now, Tyler Barron, the edge linebacker, was at Miami over the weekend. Miami is pulling in a huge spring transfer haul. Is Tyler Barron expected to be part of that?
Yeah, so I talked to a source in Coral Gables today, and Tyler Barron was supposed to be on campus for the rest of the day. So I think he's wrapping up about now, give or take. I think the Hurricanes really thought that the visit went extremely well, to be honest with you. I think that Miami checks off a lot of boxes for him. Now, all things said, he has a stepbrother, Wesley Walker, who's also in the portal. Those two are kind of going to be a tandem. Like, if Wesley Walker takes a visit, I think that school then becomes a school to watch for Tyler Barron. So I don't want to say Miami's like the leader or anything. They obviously landed the first visit. I think Ole Miss is going to at least be something we have to keep an eye on. Obviously, he's transferring out of Louisville, but he initially committed to Ole Miss out of Tennessee. I've had a lot of mixed signals down there. I don't think that they're all in just yet on Tyler Barron, but I think that they know how much upside he brings and what he could do to a defensive line.
All right. Another big time prospect that was at Miami over the weekend was Houston wide receiver Sam Brown. Now there's some rumors that he might be ready to make a decision here soon. What are you hearing about Sam Brown?
Yeah, I logged a prediction and the On3 recruiting prediction machine earlier today for Sam Brown to become a Hurricane. Have had some conversations, feel really good about that. He obviously has also taken a visit to Texas A&M, and wide receiver is a position that A&M really needs right now, especially after losing out on Keandre Lambert-Smith. But I really see this trending toward Miami. He spent the whole weekend down there, and in terms of Texas A&M fans, I think the next spot you have to start looking at is the Auburn wide receiver Javarius Johnson.
All right, so Miami's weekend could continue. We'll see what happens there. Now, let's stay in the state of Florida. Jason Zandamela, originally from Clearwater, Florida, signed with USC in the 2024 cycle, spent all of 3 or 4 weeks on campus and decided he needs to hit the transfer portal. So Jason Zandamela, what's it coming down to? It sounds like he could be nearing a decision as well.
Yeah, it sounds like he could be nearing a decision. I have not logged a prediction yet. I haven't heard one way or the other. I know there's a lot of momentum around Florida. He's been to UCF. He spent the weekend at Florida. I like the Gators right now, but I have not heard any indication it's a done deal. But on the flip side of all this, he's kept this extremely quiet. And obviously the one key factor in this recruitment is he wants to be closer to home.
All right, but does it feel like it's trending to Florida, or do you think like he might take a couple more visits after he just went to UCF and UF?
I think it's definitely trending to Florida. I know Florida State had made some contact, but I think the Gators have done a lot of homework throughout his recruitment and now obviously. And I think the Gators are in a good spot.
All right, we'll see if they can close on him coming off this weekend visit. Now let's hit on a pair of defensive linemen, quality defensive linemen that are both leaving Michigan State. That's Simeon Barrett Jr. and Derek Harmon. Where were they this weekend?
Yeah, so Derek Harmon spent some time at USC in Colorado this weekend, and then he's expected to get to Miami early next week, I think Monday or Tuesday. And he's a guy that's really interesting because he went in the wintertime. So while you hear those 3 schools, you immediately think, oh, those are the only 3 to watch. But he also took visits to Ohio State and Oregon in the winter, and I think that they're going to continue to be a factor, and he's obviously been on campus there. So he's going to actually be on campus this week with the other Michigan State defensive lineman you mentioned, Derek Harmon. Derek graduated from college on Friday. He didn't go anywhere this weekend. He was in East Lansing, but he's already taken visits to LSU and Missouri. And he's also supposed to be at Miami early next week. And I've heard Texas is really pushing to get a visit as well.
All right, the last name I want to talk to you about is South Alabama linebacker Khalil Jacobs. His recruitment has been heating up. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so Khalil Jacobs, another really interesting name who actually went in the portal after South Alabama head coach Kane Womack took that Alabama defensive coordinator job in January. Part of that Nick Saban domino effect. Khalil decided to withdraw. He's gone through winter workouts and spring ball, and now he's back in the portal. He's got 2 years of eligibility remaining and have had some good conversations with him. And he's going to take a visit to Auburn on Tuesday, Missouri Thursday, and then tapped off by a visit to Tuscaloosa on Friday to reconnect with his old head coach. I have to like Alabama here. Alabama was like the one to watch this past winter when he went in, and now he's back in.
All right. So the last thing I want to know is this the final group that we're going to see? We just saw a couple more spring games end over the weekend. There were some rumors that we might see some more guys fly into the portal. So far, no big names in the portal just yet. But do you think this week we see another surge?
Yeah, I mean, I think tomorrow is going to be pretty crazy. Not crazy in terms of like talent, but I think that there will be quite a few entries tomorrow. And the last day for athletes to file paperwork is Tuesday.
Yeah.
But I mean, compliance departments have 48 hours. So for all we know, we could see a really interesting name jump in Thursday at 11 a.m.
Pete, just for clarification, people watching, the players have to insert their name in the portal by Tuesday, but they don't necessarily have to make their decision by Tuesday, correct?
Correct. And that's end of day Tuesday. That's like 11:59. That isn't first thing Tuesday. So they have the full day. They don't have to make the decision by then. And then the one wrinkle, too, that we should mention, Josh, is with the new legislation passed by the NCAA regarding the transfer portal, grad transfers are actually going to have to go in by end of day Tuesday as well. In the past, grad transfers could go in with whenever, but that has since changed. Yep.
All right. Hey, Pete, another big week on tap. Appreciate you dropping by the Inside Scoop today.
You bet. Thanks so much, Josh.
Well, you've made it to the end of today's video, but there's hundreds more videos on the On3 Recruits channel for you to check out. And also, while you're here, hit subscribe.